Hi guys, let's do a market overview. I'll go through Bitcoin, Ethereum first, followed by ADA, which will cover our current trade, and then if you want to keep listening, I'll go through all the other pairs as well. So it could be quite a long video, so stick with me. I'll try not to ramble on too much, but I just want to point out our current levels of price, 9,500, sorry. 9,600. On the weekly, we've got pretty good support and resistance at this area, so I do expect it to hold just for the short term before continuing our downside. Now, my initial downside target is 8,400. I've spoken of this before. It's a 0.5 fib pullback, and it's the weekly 20 EMA right here, and also there's a CME gap there that's been left open and is likely to get filled. So just for now, after the initial bull run and sell-off for 3 weeks straight, price closed above 9,500 or thereabouts before break and retest of the same level. So what we have now is another break and retest. So it's a pretty strong level there on the weekly. I expect it to hold here for a little bit longer. Already it's been holding for 5 or 6 days. So we'll just quickly whiz over to the daily to see what we've got here. So the daily run's been quite extended now without a decent pullback, so this is partly why I expect a decent pullback to at least a 0.38 fib, which is mid tens, but based on the weekly trend line we could go a little bit higher after making a nice little double bottom here at 9,500 region. So just want to point out that we have closed below the daily 50 MA here, which from about August 2018, it's been pretty good dynamic support and resistance, so it is a level that we may not push through again. A break and retest makes sense, but I do anticipate a little bit more of a pullback than just the daily 50 MA. Let's whiz down to the daily chart. I'll just show you what I'm looking here on the lower time frames. Got a nice pattern here, so at the moment I've got a bit of a long bias based on the higher time frames to pop a bit higher, possibly as high as the 11k mark, where we've got a double top here, so a nice range at the moment. But if we break this low here of 9,300, 9,200, I think our next target of 8,400 is probably likely. So we're just watching it now. We could get a trade actually as soon as today. It looks like we've got a false breakout, but we just want a bit more of a run up, break and retest before we go long. We've got a couple of wicks here that have closed below this trend line, 3 of them, so we just want to make sure that we don't get trapped in a long position just for now. So that's it as far as Bitcoin. I will just point out quickly the CME futures chart on the 4 hour. And the gaps I've pointed out and been speaking about. As you know, 8,400 is the target I keep going on about. The bottom of this range is 8,400, and there is, depending on your time frame or what chart you use, we do have a small gap here at 7,200, low 7, so that's not without probabilities as well. On the 4 hour chart I haven't seen any gaps not be filled yet. That's why I still hold a short bias. So we've got a death cross here on the CME charts, but we've got a double bottom. I certainly do anticipate more of a run up before we head lower. In fact, let me just put a couple of lines in here. There's a double bottom there before a break and retest, so it could run up as high as 11k. That would make sense based on this chart. 11k, 11,200. That's a pretty good zone for us to run up to after a double bottom. So very short term bullish on Bitcoin at the moment before we head even lower than we currently are right now. Ethereum. Let's look at the Bitfinex charts. Weekly. Ethereum price action is much the same as Bitcoin, so not too much different in my bias. You can see the weekly 20 EMA has been pretty good. Cut through there quite a bit a couple of times during the volatility after the end of the last bull run. So we might get that again. We've had not as much of a parabolic move as Bitcoin, so we might cut through, break back above before heading lower. So we could head back up to the 260 area before heading lower on Ethereum as well. Let's look at the lower time frame. Actually, we'll go to Bitfinex charts. the daily chart's the one of interest for me with Ethereum. Holding this trend line very nicely, just by the skin of its teeth, and an overextended daily run. So in line with Bitcoin, needs a pullback as well. 0.38 fib takes us to about 260, or we could run a bit higher to a 0.5 fib at 274, which would make a pretty nice head and shoulders pattern and a breakdown from there. So not willing to short Ethereum until we break this daily trend line. At the moment, I've still got a short-term bullish bias on Ethereum as well. It's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's look at ADA. I'll go through the entry first. Alright, as you can see, we made a nice bottoming pattern here with a resistance here. So a break of this level here. We originally had a trade here on the breakout, but it missed us by 1 sat. So there might have been some people that got in slightly higher than the trade call and should still be in. So we got another chance. We got a bullish pennant formation here, so we took the trade on the breakout right here at about 631, 632 sat. So we had a nice run up. We're possibly building a channel now. We're at entry point and this support line here. So we'll see how this goes. There's no need to close this trade yet. I'll point out the 4-hour 50 EMA soon, which is right here, and then we've got previous resistance, which is now support. So we could even head as low as 610 sats. I'll still be happy to stay in the trade until we're trading around this region, but this channel here that's possibly forming looks pretty good. 4-hour chart. This was the initial trade entry. We had a nice pattern here forming, which we broke and retested here. So unfortunately we missed out by 1 or 2 sats on the initial entry, but here it looks like we've had a little accumulation stage here, so we're having a strong run up. So I have got 680 sats as my initial target, and until such time as price breaks back below the 4-hour 50 EMA, there's no need to close this trade. As you can see, this 4-hour 50 EMA has been extremely good dynamic support and resistance. Retest, 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 break and retest to the upside now. So we should continue to track this 4-hour 50 to the upside for a little while yet, hopefully, at least up until 680 sats. So that's what I anticipate for now. It's a pretty good bottoming pattern, but I just need to point out that on the higher time frames, we still haven't reached a full reset, which is, there's a support line there at 430 sats, and if that breaks we could possibly go as low as 260. So we have reversed off somewhere that's not really even considered a daily support level. So this could just be a dead cat bounce, but a run up to 680 before heading lower is highly likely. So not a full daily trend reversal I'm playing here, it's more the intradays, but we've got some good support price structure to back our bias. Alrighty, that's it for ADA and the current trade. If you want to keep watching, let's go through Bitcoin Cash. Had quite a strong run up actually, which I didn't anticipate. Look at the daily. Like ADA, it's just reversed here off of nothing. No horizontal support structure here. Could be some fib extensions there. I don't usually use fib extensions too much, but yeah, I anticipate more downside as well. We've broken above this pretty good support level here, so we could reach the top of this zone resistance here in the daily 50 MA. So we could get as high as 0.037 before heading lower. I think we'll get a full reset on this one down to 0.025. So let's just have a look at the 4-hour. Draw a couple of trend lines in here for interest's sake later on. If we break back below these trend lines, That could possibly be where we head short. But at the moment, this looks, actually look at this. Nice bottoming pattern like ADA I just showed you. But didn't see this here on the 4 hour. Noticed it just now. So nice trend line, break and retest, and off we go. That's pretty nice actually. So yeah, if I was trading off the 4 hour, I possibly would have seen that, but not really a valid trade unless you took a breakout on the 1 hour. Nonetheless, the 4 hours are pretty good entry. But you can see there, that's a bottoming pattern, and we've got some follow through, quite a lot of follow through. So, you know, we're probably about this range here on our ADA trade, and that's what I anticipate more follow through up to about 680 sats. So, hopefully ADA follows Bitcoin Cash just for now. So, we'll let Bitcoin Cash play out. There's no trade on that one immediately. I'm not going to go long. I'm more waiting for a few days to look for a short. Had 3 consecutive weeks of bullish price action. Litecoin. Let's go to the weekly. Looks like a similar thing. We're starting to reverse here. It hasn't been a full reversal, so it could be a dead cat bounce before we go back to this double bottom here. It's a very probable target, so it's just a matter of how far this pulls back first. The weekly 50 EMA hasn't really been used as dynamic support and resistance at all, so we can't use that as any sort of indicator. Let's look at the daily. Daily 50 EMA has been quite a good dynamic support and resistance. Look at that. Now we could be heading a bit higher to retest it. So yeah, as I said, possible dead cat bounce. We might go a little bit higher before retesting this double bottom region around here. So yeah, I don't think it's finished its downside move. There could be a pennant there on a 4 hour. Let's have a look. It's pretty ugly. Oh, that's really ugly. Not much there, I'm afraid. So yeah, just staying away from Litecoin for a little bit, but we could just pop a bit higher before downside. EOS. Right, so this is what I mean by bottoming pattern. We're trading the ADA setup at the moment, and same thing here. We got a break of this horizontal level here. Support grinding above support here. Break, break, break. More grinding just above support. Retest, retest, retest. Now break. So we didn't trade the break on that, possibly because I considered it possibly a false breakout before heading lower, but it did. It took off and followed through. So accumulation phase, break, up we go. So hasn't got much follow through from there. Let's look at the higher time frames. Right, so this could be ahead of Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. See what I say about a dead cat bounce? So this has had the run up and now it's looking to roll over again on the higher time frames. So we could go back to its previous low, or do a full retrace back down to 2,100 sats. So we need a bit of time to see if we're going to go sideways and accumulate on a higher time frame, or in fact it's just a dead cat bounce on the daily before heading lower. So not really much long term to see on EOS, and the lower time frames hasn't got much to trade either. In fact, if we break back below this level, I'll look to trade back here to the double bottom region. But we need to break this area first for a short, because we could actually quite easily break, retest, and just continue going sideways. Ripple. Weekly. Previous resistance there, we've just broken below and we're looking to close back above it. That's a huge weekly bearish run which needs a decent pullback. Can't get much from the weekly 20 MA, but we could head back up to about 4,000 sats from here before accumulating sideways, or dead cat bounce, head lower to a full reset. Daily. Got the daily 50 MA, which isn't too bad either. We might not even have the grunt to pull back higher up to 4,000 sats. But it is pretty good resistance. In fact, look at this on the daily. That's the previous resistance there, which we are now on. And yesterday's candle was a rejection of that level. Support, support, break, retest, retest now. So we could have actually decelerated, rejected this level, so we could nearly be ready to head back lower. So look at the lower time frames. Okay, this is interesting. Right. Pretty nice trend line here. Alright, so break and retest of this trend line. I think we'll have a trade. Stop loss just above previous price. Here we go. I'm building a trade right in front of you. Look at this. This is a nice setup. This is what you want to see. So we want to wait for the break though. You can either trade the break or wait for a break and retest. So the first full pullback after the break, and the first pullback after the break is usually best because it confirms a lower high. And what I mean by that is we've got a left shoulder here, head here, break, retest, right shoulder, which is also a lower high, and down we go. Confirm trend change on the lower time frame, and we'll probably target the recent lows. So that's a 13% move. Probably get 10x leverage on that. That will be a nice trade. So could be on the cards. That's got weekly, daily, and 1 hour confluence factors on this horizontal line here. So pretty important level. If it does break above nicely and retest, well, we're likely to go back to 4,100 sats. That's why we need to wait for confirmation, because at the moment it could break either direction. And if Bitcoin does head higher, it is likely that this will break down. Cool, that's good. We've got something on watch. Where were we up to? Let's go to Tron. Tron weekly. I think this is going to do a full reset. Right, we could get a bounce to 288, break and retest. So we've got support, 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 triple bottom there before it took off. So accumulation phase before a bullish run. Now we've had a full retrace. Break of previous triple bottom, a retest to 280 sats before wowzers, all the way down here, 50 sats. Surely not. Right, trying to find a bottom here. So a retest of 270, 280, daily 50 MA. That's the triple bottom there. So I'm not sure if we can get a long trade in here off this support level yet, but if it does break lower, we'll be jumping in. But if it does also pull back to 280 sats or 270 sats, the daily 50 MA, that will be a short there as well. So next couple of weeks we could have something on Tron. Yeah, just finding a bottom here. So this could just be accumulation or just low volume sideways movement. I'd like to see a pullback to 271 sats and take a short, because then if we find support there we can just close the trade, but we can also hold the trade and look to go way down. If we break below current price levels, we probably want to wait until we break 220 sats. So I'm not looking to go long off this level because we haven't got any nice patterns, we haven't got a reversal, no trend break and retest. So this thing could go way down below 100 sats. So we can either enter there at mid 200s or preferably up higher after a pullback. But I think Tron's in a bit of trouble regardless. Let me just have a look at the daily. Looked like 50 sats was on the... Oh god. If we break 220, this thing's in a whole lot of trouble. There's no support structure there at all. Not much. You'd have to find something minor on a intraday level. So Tron breaks 220. She's all over. Wouldn't make me sad one bit, to be honest. Bit of funny stuff going on with Justin Sun too. He's been seen in America, but his lunch with Warren Buffett has been delayed or cancelled, and there's talk of his fundraising for Tron ICO was done illegally. Could be the catalyst to drive this thing lower. Who knows? Anyway, that's the end of the market recap, guys. I hope you got a bit out of that. We built a possible trade right in front of your eyes with Ripple, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this one plays out, and also a possible long position on Bitcoin and Ethereum, preferably Bitcoin. Ethereum's not quite as clean, so yeah, it's been a long time without any decent trades. Hopefully we're going to get some in the coming days or next week, so stay tuned, guys. Hope you got a bit out of that market analysis, and I'll try and do another one pretty soon.